quote-unquote Christmas season, and I'll leave it at that for right now. We're going to talk about giving, but in a different way. We're not talking about money today.
No.
We're going to go to John, the 3rd chapter, and we're going to start at the 16th verse.
All right. John, the 3rd chapter, 16th verse. Most of us are familiar with this, but are we really understanding about it? So let's get into it. This is how, we're coming out the Message version for this particular one. This is how much God loved the world.
Stop. Like we say on Tuesday nights, slow down, and when you're reading, and pay attention to the words that you're reading. You're going to see an example of how much God loved us. Not loves. Because he's still loving us today. In our messed up situations that, chose to. Okay.
This is how much God loved the world. He gave.
Stop. That's where we want to go, right there. He gave. That's where we're going. We're going to be in this book for a little while, so we're going to take our time. And I want to stop right there. He didn't receive. He didn't take from. He didn't go after. It wasn't about I. We in this Christmas season, it's all about what present are we going to get? Are we going to get that computer game? Are we going to get that new software? Are we going to get this or that? It says he gave, and there's no words in between there. He gave. When you give something to somebody, in most cases, or this is the way it should be, when you give something to somebody, that's what you're doing. You're giving it to them. That's something that you want them to have.
And when you give someone something, you don't often, or you should not respect something in return when it comes to what you gave.
He gave. Yeah, we're pausing today because we have to grasp this. Our theme is telling the truth about the truth. He gave, and then it goes on. Now, he didn't give a piece of paper.
Mm-mm. He gave something substantial.
He didn't give something that was in the back of the closet,
No.
something that didn't mean anything to him, any of that stuff. What did he give?
He gave his son, his one and only son.
Not mine. His son?
His son.
Wow. He gave his son, his one and only son. Let's explain what his son is. His son is his word that's going to be wrapped up in flesh. That's what his son. But think about that. That's something that's really precious to you. Let me start over. That's something that should be precious to you, is your word. People, I know back in the day, you just went off of a person's word and a handshake.
Yep.
And he said, I'm giving you my son.
I think it's interesting because when you think about what a contract is an agreement that is made on certain conditions and circumstances. So both of you guys are literally signing your name, your word, that you agree to the terms and statements due that is on that piece of paper to do business. So the paper is a representation of what is being understood verbally, what has been understood verbally prior to this thing being signed, the agreement. I think it's interesting because, just for a little fun theological insert, in the very first chapter of John, it says that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and that Word became flesh and dwelt among us. I'm stop right there. That word for word is logos, which means thought, idea, So you could literally read that and say that in the beginning was the idea, and the idea was with God, and the idea was God, and the idea became flesh and dwelt among us. Now, I'm not saying that to undercut, because some of you may feel like, well, idea, it's lesser than, but not at all. And here's why. Think about an idea that you've ever had. Idea, thoughts are part of you. Some of your most deepest treasured memories, some of your plans, your desires are wrapped up in your thoughts. Now, you take your most precious memories, thoughts, and ideas, and if you could wrap it up and make it tangible, touchable, how precious would that be to you? If you had the ideal son, the ideal daughter, the ideal anything. If you're a creator or a builder, you take that idea. If you could make, buildings or cars, that idea is precious to you. And it's not just any idea. It is the pinnacle of your idea. It's the best idea you would ever have. How important would that be to you? You wouldn't want anybody just treating your masterpiece a certain type of way. So when it says that God gave his son, and we understand that his son is the word, you understand what I just said about the word logos, idea. That gives you insight on how precious he is. And the next part says, and this is why. So that no one need be destroyed. By believing in him, anyone can have a whole and lasting life.
Right there. That was good what you just said. Think about it. His thought. So that meant he was thinking about us. His thought. Now, he could have thought of anything, but he said, you know what? I'm going to give them the best. And what is better than his word? Because there's no evil in God, so everything that comes out of him is good. So he's thinking this, and then he presents this good, pure, untainted thought. It becomes a word, and that word becomes flesh.
Just imagine sitting back thinking, I wonder how I can make this. Oh, you know what? Let's look at it this way. Someone sitting back thinking, I wonder how well I can love you. Let's see. You're set up this way. This is what you need. This is what you want. This is what's best for you. These are what all my characteristics represent. So what is the best representation of me to you? Oh, here's my idea. Jesus. And this is precious to me because it's a part of me coming to you. This is the fulfillment of my love to you. This is my love letter to you. This is my outstretched hand to you. This is my rescue attempt toward you. This is my blanket toward you. This is my comfort toward you. This is my beauty toward you. Here's my word. Because my word is who I am.
And watch this. To do that, knowing that he's going to be killed.
Oh, man.
And he still said, okay, I'm going to take purity and send it in goodness and mercy and all his great thoughts and all that. I'm going to wrap all this up. I'm going to wrap my word up and then just send it to the earth for you all to do with it whatever you want, because he gave it to us. He gave Jesus to us. So we had choices to make, and you'll see that all throughout the New Testament. People had choices to make, but he sent him so we could have choices, because up until that time, we didn't. Everything else had failed. Man has shown that, man, I can't do this. So guess what? I'm going to send you someone to show you how you can live this life. I heard you say, ooh, did you have something?
Because I thought about when you said he sent his son. And I think it's interesting because you also said that knowing how people were going to treat him. And it's amazing because most of us give the best of us and the best hope that we'll be treated a certain type of way, loved a certain type of way back with that hope. But if most of us knew how we would be treated loving someone that we may have experienced in the past, or just anybody, even a family member, just anybody, showing that love, that unconditional love toward them, and have them to scoff on it, treat it any type of way, misuse it, abuse it, would we have sent our love with the pure motive, knowing those things? Most of us would not do. Most people wouldn't do that. So how strong is the character of God to know how His word is going to be treated? I think it's very, very, very beautiful situation, because the rest of that verse said that He didn't go out of His way, go through all the trouble to send His Son to point an accusing finger, but to bring all those who would believe in Him into eternal life.
So now, again, we're talking about the Christmas season. And my point of bringing this up about giving, He gave. We go into year after year after year after year after year after year with resolutions and things we're going to do different, things that we're going to do different, things that I'm going to do different. And then another year goes by. This is what I'm going to do different. My suggestion to you is, how about giving your life back to Christ? How about starting off with that? I told my members to clean out your spiritual closets, those things that are blocking you from getting closer to Christ. Get rid of it. It could be time. You got your time filled up with a bunch of stuff that doesn't need to be happening, so you don't get to. Because I say this, how can you love something that you don't know? Everybody will say, I love the Lord. We'll raise our hands up. But what do you even know about him?
That's interesting, because there is for most people who stay plugged in social media, they're aware of the feuds that go on with certain celebrities. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I thought it was very interesting. But there's a situation going on with a certain basketball player and his infidelities and things of that nature. So folks were getting called out online about throwing shade. And one thing was funny in particular. One person made a comment and they said that there was a saved, born-again Christian, but they would still get drugged. They would still beat this person up and drag this person in the name of the Lord. So don't get it twisted. She said she had been saved and sanctified. This is a famous individual. I'm not throwing no names because it's not important. It's what she said was important. So I find that hilarious, because if you're saved and you're sanctified, which means to be cleansed, it's a cleansing process of being washed in your morality, your character for who you really are, then you're not going to be sitting here saying, I'm going to drag you in the name of the Lord. Because if I really know Jesus, if I really love Jesus, I'm not going to do something that's going to shame him. If for those who are having a hard time understanding that, would you do anything to shame your mother, your parents, somebody you have a loving relationship with, even though you're at turmoil with somebody who has maybe offended them or done such and such? You're like, nah, you got my mama messed up, I'm going to drag you. But your mother has asked you, or your friend or your father has asked you on their behalf not to do anything to that person. As righteous as it is for you to feel how you feel, if you love them, would you still do it anyways against their word? What does it really mean to love God?
And that all ties into giving your life. 2020, I even say, for those who say they had a great year, it could be better, because you can never get too close to God. Never. I mean, you should strive every day to get closer and closer and closer. But I want to go to the short period of time we have left. Go to John 10:10, and I just want to focus for today talking about Jesus, because we said God sent his son. He gave his son. And then Jesus has the understanding.